So, welcome to Delhi Current Affairs class. The first topic we will take up today is regarding the India's neighbors are the swearing in shared stake in the stable ties. This is a topic in international relation, the relation of India with the neighboring countries. This article highlights the significance of the presence of South Asian and Indian Ocean leaders at Narendra Modi's swearing in ceremony for his third term as Prime Minister. So recently Modi took over as the Prime Minister of India for the third time, heading the NDA alliance, and okay. Article highlights the significance of presence of South Asian and Indian Ocean leaders at Narendra Modi's swearing-in ceremony for the third term of the Prime Minister. First, India is facing increasing hostility in its neighborhood. Although India's international relations and international influence is growing, but its image in the immediate neighborhood is on a falling trend. Okay, that is why this swearing ceremony invitation was sent to all the neighboring countries. With an intention to strengthen its relationship with the neighborhood. Therefore, presence of leaders of these countries underline the significance of interdependence on each other. Second, it is the testament or manifestation of India's neighborhood first policy. So, India has a policy of neighborhood first, where it put emphasis on the neighborhood because good relationship with a good neighbor is much better. Why? Because we cannot. It is very well said that we can choose our friends, we can change our friends, but we cannot choose and change our neighbors. If we cannot do this, so it is better to maintain good relations with the neighbor than trying to maintain animosity with them. This is what is the topic of discussion. So, third, intensifying conflict among major powers and the restructuring of the global economic order are posing major challenges around the world. India will need all goodwill and support it can gather. Okay. So, further, fourth, in this recent year, Western countries have raised their concern about so-called democratic backsliding in India, but the recent resurgence of opposition has taken this issue because since few years, so it is allegation that in India democracy is not being gaining a strength because the single party rule was emerged as a threat to democratic institution. But the election where the opposition also done very well in the election, and the alliance government, the India alliance came to power. It is a manifestation that the opposition will play important role, and the alliance of the coalition government will also strengthen the root of democracy because the coalition government definitely will help in the protection of democracy as is being said. Okay, so the recent year Western countries have raised their concern about the so-called democratic backsliding because it was as a democracy index, India was called as an elected autocracy by the Western media. Okay, significance of diplomatic resolution of India-US trade dispute. The next topic. Recently, a decade-old trade dispute between India and USA was resolved at the World Trade Organization. This dispute originated in 2012 when the US challenged India's challenge India's import restrictions on poultry products imposed due to concern over the avian influenza, which started in the Western countries. In this dispute, US alleged that India deviated from internationally recognized standards by not providing scientific justification for the restrictions. Both the WTO panel and the appellate body ruled in favor of the US, stating that India's measures were inconsistent with WTO rules. It required India to modify its measure. However, compliance issue prolonged the dispute until a recent diplomatic breakthrough led to its resolution. The dispute was resolved diplomatically, leading to withdrawal of claims by both countries from the WTO. As part of the settlement, India agreed to reduce tariff on certain US products like the cranberries, the blueberries, the frozen turkey, and the premium frozen duck meat. So these are the restrictions imposed by India on US export to India. What are the significance of diplomatic resolution between India and USA? It showcased the effectiveness of bilateral negotiations in resolving trade dispute. The resolution of this dispute represents a major diplomatic achievement, particularly given its long duration and complexity. WTO rules encourage countries to resolve disputes amicably, with litigation only to be pursued as a last resort. The significance of diplomatic resolution increases, especially in the absence of a functional WTO appellate body. Okay, a dispute between the member country is a normal thing, but this should be resolved quickly. But this dispute continue for a long period. Okay, from 2012 to okay. It showcased the effectiveness of bilateral negotiations in resolving trade disputes. The resolution of this dispute represents a major diplomatic achievement, particularly given its long duration and complexity. WTO rules encourage countries to resolve dispute amicably, with litigation only to be pursued as a last resort. The significance of diplomatic solution increases, especially in the absence of functional WTO affiliate body. But this agreement, India is able to avoid the 550 million annual claims from the USA awarded by WTO to it. It showcased the ability of major trading partners to navigate complex domestic compulsions and find common ground even on the most sensitive trade matters. This milestone reinforces the growing significance of the India-US partnership, particularly in the context of the recently launched Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Okay, so this is what it can be said as a good news, because India and USA are able to resolve a long-standing dispute at WTO, and they're able to do it informally. Okay, so the ruling National Democratic Alliance secured a majority by winning 293 seats with 43.3% of the national vote share. However, the opposition India Bloc, despite garnering 41.6% seat of the votes, would only 243, 43.3%, so 293, 41.6% to 34. This is what is the imbalance. In this context, the article discussed the potential benefit of challenges of adopting a proportional representation system in India's electoral democracy. At present, India is following first past the post system. So, Indian present system is called, very popularly known as, remember this. So, it is the first. This is what the past past the post system. In this, the parties or the candidates securing the highest vote is elected, although it not be the majority one. Okay, it has a few basic flaws, like it often results in a significant mismatch between the percentage of vote received by the political parties and the representation in the legislative body. For example, the Congress historically winning 75% of the seat with a 47% vote share, and NDA securing 64 out of the 60 seats in the three states with around 55% of the vote share. This is the discrepancy of the first past the post system. So, however, it also has many advantages, like this system is simple and feasible. In a large country like India, it also provides greater stability to the executive by ensuring a majority for the ruling party or coalition. What is proportional representation system? In the proportional representation system, a party is allocated legislative seats based on their overall vote share nationally. One such system is the party list or the PR. In this system, voters vote for the party and not individual candidates. Advantages of the PR system: every party getting a percentage of vote from the voters will get a representation in the parliament. Issue associated with the PR system: the PR system can potentially lead to fragmented legislatures and unstable government, as no single party or alliance may secure an outright majority. It also has a potential to formations of political parties based on the religion, caste, language, region, leading to division within the country. What is a mixed member proportional representation system? This system addresses the flaws of the peer and the first past the post system. It issues the mix of both the system. For example, Germany follow the MMPR system. In this, the Bundestag, like the Lok Sabha, there are 598 seats. They fill 299 seats from constituency under the first past the post system, and the rest of the seats are allocated as per the PR system, proportional representation system. So the percentage of the votes secured by the political party, so then they get the number accordingly. So two-way, half of the members are elected by the system called first past the post system, and rest part is elected by the proportional representation. This is two different way. Okay, so by adopting the MMPR, India can achieve a balance between the stability offered by the first past the post system and the fair representation ensured by the proportional representation. Representation to small states, the system can potentially mitigate feeling of disenchantment among the smaller states and region that may lose out under the purely population-based seat allocation. Law Commission recommendation in its 170th report, reform of the electoral law, recommended the introduction of the MMPR system on an experimental basis. Solution for better energy management. Next topic. The article discusses the problem of too many separate departments in the Indian government handling the energy policy, which leads to inefficient and conflicting action. It suggests merging departments, creating a single Minister of Energy, and establishing group to better coordinate efforts to climate transition. But the current problem with the government department in India, multiple departments with the conflicting goals. India's energy sector is fragmented across multiple departments with conflicting objectives. For instance, the Minister of Coal promotes coal usage, while the Minister of Renewable Energy advocates for reduced coal dependence. This misalignment affects coherent policy formulation. So, coal promotes coal use, while renewable energy discourages it. Policy incoherence. The lack of a unified approach causes policy incoherence, complicating both domestic governance and international relations, connecting energy transition and environmental commitments. What are the proposed solutions for better energy management? Rethink departments, merge similar departments like the Ministry of Coal and the Department of Atomic Energy into two departments, one for carbon-based fuel and one for carbon-free fuel. This can streamline operations and reduce the redundancy. Unified Ministry of Energy, create a single Ministry of Energy that includes all energy-related departments. This ministry could have multiple departments headed by secretary rank officers led by one minister and one energy secretary. Although it simplified the structure, some department issue many persist. So this is what one unified ministry will be better. Okay, so group of ministers. Okay, the group of ministers for climate transition from a group of ministers to coordinate climate policies. This group should be chaired by the finance minister, supported by a technical secretariat composed of research organizations to ensure information decision making. So, rethink regulation, reevaluate the structure and role of the regulators who currently wield significant power by combining executive, legislative, and judicial functions. This is crucial for effective energy transition management. Unified Parliamentary Standing Committee, establish a single Parliamentary Standing Committee on energy transition to consolidate the efforts of multiple committees. This committee should be supported by a group of research organizations to enhance its effectiveness and coherence. Then next is how in the same topic, how do other countries manage their energy policy? German, the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action oversees energy transition policy. In France, a ministry for the ecological transition focus on climate change and energy policy. In Spain, the Ministry for the Ecological Transition and the Demographic Challenge handles the energy transition. In Uruguay, energy transition falls within the Ministry of Industry, Energy and Mining. In Indonesia, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources manage energy transition, because all the countries are on a transition in the energy sector from the from the fossil fuel to the environmentally clean technology. In United States, John Podesta serves as the climate czar, coordinating energy and climate policies. Then Cabinet Committee, the ruling. Next topic, The ruling party in Lok Sabha will retain control of the key portfolio of home, defense, finance, and national affairs to maintain its influence over the cabinet committee on security, because most of these portfolios were given to the BJP and most of them remain. Okay. So then constitutional provision Article 77 of the Constitution, the President possesses the authority to establish rules for the smooth conduct of the Union government, business and the distribution of work among the ministers. Accordingly, the President has issued two sets of rules. Allocation of business rules. These rules govern the distribution of subjects among various ministry and departments. Transaction of business rules. These rules dictate the handling of ministries, interdepartmental consultations, cabinet committees, consultations with the Prime Minister and the President. As per the transaction of business rules, the Prime Minister has the power to form or dissolve standing committee of the cabinet and allocate their functions. Feature of the cabinet committee: extra constitutional body. Cabinet committee are extra constitutional bodies, meaning they are not specified in the constitution. Established by the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister establishes the cabinet committee based on the current need and demand of the situation, leading to variations in their number, names and composition over time. Then constitutional status: cabinet committee emerged outside the constitutional framework, not explicitly mentioned in the constitution. Their establishment, however, is provided for in the rules of business. Then organizational purpose: cabinet committee functions as organizational tools to alleviate the extensive workload of the cabinet. They enable in-depth examination of policy matters and promote effective coordination, aligning with the principle of division of labor and effective delegation. Types of committee: cabinet committee fall into two categories: standing committee and ad hoc committee. Standing committee are the permanent committee, ad hoc committee are the temporary committee. Okay, so standing committee are permanent while ad hoc committee are temporary and form as needed, disbanding upon completion of specific tasks. So membership composition: memberships typically range from 3 to 8 members, primarily comprising cabinet ministers, non-cabinet ministers, and are not excluded from the participation. Inclusive representation: cabinet committee includes not only ministers responsible for relevant subject but also other senior ministers. Leadership dynamics: while predominantly chaired by the Prime Minister, other cabinet ministers such as the Home Ministers or the Finance Ministers may act as chairman. If the Prime Minister is a member, he presides over the committees. A decision-making authority: the cabinet committee not only addresses issue and purpose considerations of the cabinet but also possesses decision-making authority. However, the cabinet retains the power to review their decisions. Functions of the various cabinet committees: the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, headed by the Prime Minister, addresses issues related to center-state relations, examines political matters requiring a broader perspective but lacking internal or external security implications. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs review economic trends. Okay, so deals with the pricing of agricultural produce, essential commodities, investment proposals exceeding more than 1,000 crore, industrial licensing policies, rural development, and the public distribution system. Appointment committee of the cabinet headed by the prime minister makes appointment to top military positions, chief of air and army commands, and key defense related positions. Decides on important empanelment and shift of officers on central deputation. Cabinet Committee on Security addresses law and order, internal security and policy matters in foreign affairs with security implication. Considers capital defense expenditure exceeding more than 1,000 crore. Review issue related to the Department of Defense Production, Department of Defense Research and Development, and procurement of security related equipments. Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs formulates parliament session schedules, monitors government business progress, scrutinizes non-government business, and decides on official bill and resolutions. Cabinet Committee on Accommodation determine guidelines for government accommodation allotment, decides on allotment of non-eligible persons, rent charges, and allocation from the general pool to members of parliament. Consider proposal for relocating central government offices. Cabinet Committee on Investment and Growth identify key projects for time-bound implementation involving investment of 1,000 crore or more, prescribes time limit for approvals and clearances, monitoring project progress. Okay, so Cabinet Committee on Employment and Skill Development directs policy programs and initiative for skill development to enhance workforce employability. Work towards closing gap between skill availability and the sector requirement is looked up by the Cabinet Committee on Employment and Skill Development. Set targets for speedy implementation and periodically review progress. This is what are the importance of the Cabinet committees and okay, so hydrogen line, about the hydrogen line is an important instrument in modern astronomy, from studying distant stars to looking for extraterrestrial intelligence if it exists. Spin alignment in hydrogen atoms. Each hydrogen atom is made of one proton and one electron. Both these particles have a property called the spin. Colloquially, the spin can point out or down at any given time. When the spin of both particles are pointed off, they are said to be aligned. When they are pointing in opposite direction, they are anti-aligned. Hydrogen line emission, anti-aligned spin give the atom more energy than the aligned spin. When the electron flips its spin, the atom releases its excess energy as electromagnetic radiation with 21 cm wavelength. This emission appears as a characteristic line in some detectors known as the hydrogen line. Discovery: scientists discovered this emission in 1951 and it transferred radio astronomy. Detecting clouds by looking for this emission. Okay, so the emission appears as a characteristic line in some detectors known as the hydrogen line. Discovery: scientists discovered this emission in 1951 and it transformed radio astronomy. Detecting clouds: by looking for this emission, they could detect clouds of neutral hydrogen atomic gas in interstellar space. Next is the fog computing, decentralized computing structure. Fog computing extends the cloud capability to the edge of an enterprise network. This is called the cloud fog. This is what. So edge and the cloud analysis, it facilitates short-term analytics at the edge, while the cloud performs resources intensive analytics. It is not to be confused with edge computing, which brings data processing closer to device, while fog computing involves processing data on intermediary nodes placed at the network's edge. Application of the fog computing: connected cars collecting and processing data from sensors in the real time to enable features such as autonomous driving and info entertainment. Smart cities monitoring traffic flow, managing public transportation, optimizing energy use, and more. Industrial IoT, enhancing efficiency and safety in factories, power plants, mines, and other industrial infrastructure. Connected health, supporting remote patient monitoring, telemedicine, and other healthcare applications. AV/VR, enabling low latency, high quality augmented and virtual reality experiences will be done by this. The next topic is very important: base erosion and profit shifting. It's a economy topic. The 16th meeting of the OECD, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, and G20 Inclusive Framework on Base Erosion and Profit Shifting concluded. An inclusive framework of the base erosion profit shifting is finalized negotiations on Pillar 1, while the global minimum tax under the Pillar 2 is being implemented in countries globally. What is inclusive framework? The OECD G20 Inclusive Framework on the Base Erosion Profit Shifting, with 147 countries and jurisdictions including India, fights tax avoidance and promotes fair tax practices through a two-pillar approach. Pillar 1 reallocates profit of large MNEs, multinational enterprises, while Pillar 2 establishes a global minimum corporate tax of 10%. This framework ensures fairness in tax system, addresses tax avoidance, and adapt to evolving business models and digital economics. What is this base erosion profit shifting? It refers to corporate tax planning strategy used by multinational companies to shift profit from higher tax jurisdiction to lower tax or no-tax jurisdiction. The OECD defines base erosion profit shifting strategy as exploiting gaps and mismatch in the tax rules. It erodes the tax base, costing countries $100 to 240 billion in the lost revenue annually of the higher tax jurisdiction. A developing country have a higher reliance on corporate income tax. They suffer from the base erosion profit shifting disproportionately. Working together with the OECD and G20 Inclusive Framework on base erosion profit shifting, over 135 countries and jurisdictions are collaborating on the implementation of the measure to tackle tax avoidance. So tax avoidance is where a company avoid the tax by shifting its. Okay. Okay, so ensuring more transparent tax environment. The objective of the outcome statement delivered a package to further implement the two-pillar solution to address the tax challenges arising from the digitalization of the economy. Two-pillar solution: global anti-base erosion rules. These rules are agreed upon in 2021 by the 137 countries and jurisdictions under the OECD G20 Inclusive Framework on base erosion profit shifting. Then green ammonia production. Recently, Solar Energy Corporation of India initiated competitive bidding for green ammonia production. About green ammonia production, as part of India's national green hydrogen mission, the Solar Energy Corporation of India has launched a request for selection to identify procedures of green ammonia. This move is under the Strategic Interventions for Green Hydrogen Transition program managed by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. The Solar Energy Corporation of India aims to allocate a total of 5.39 lakh metric tons per annum of green ammonia production capacity through this initiative. The selection process involves a Okay, this move is under the strategic intervention of the Green Hydrogen Transmission Program managed by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. The Solar Energy Corporation of India aims to allocate a total of 5.39 lakh metric tons per annum of green ammonia production capacity through this initiative. The selection process involves e-bidding followed by an e-reverse auction to ensure cost effectiveness and transparency. Okay, the green ammonia produced under this initiative is designed for supply to fertilizer companies supporting sustainable agriculture practices. About the site program in detail, the SCCI is a appointed agency to implement the green ammonia production initiative under the Mode 2A of the SIGST program. Under the same program, the Ministry of Non-Renewable Energy has already allocated 4.2 lakh metric tons per annum of green hydrogen production capacity. Okay, so under the same program, it is already allocated 4.1.2 metric ton per annum. About National Green Hydrogen Mission, it was launched in January 2023. It aims to make India self-reliant in clean energy. The mission is designed to reduce carbon emissions, lessen dependency on fossil fuel import, and position India as a leader in green hydrogen technology and market globally. About green ammonia is synthesized using hydrogen obtained from the water electrolysis and nitrogen extracted from the air. These components are combined in the Haber process, which is powered by renewable energy sources. In the Haber process, hydrogen and nitrogen reacts at high temperatures and pressures to form the ammonia. The key to green ammonia is that the entire process, including the energy for the Haber process, is sourced from 100% renewable and carbon-free compounds. So, green ammonia serves as a general fuel alternative for engines in locomotives and ships, aiming to replace traditional diesel and the marine fuel oils. Okay, so it can be used as a fuel source for generating electricity. As a primary component of fertilizer production, it supports sustainable agricultural practices. Green ammonia is a versatile feedstock used in various applications, including water purification and pharmaceutical manufacturing. Then household consumption expenditure survey. Recently, the household consumption expenditure survey released its report. It showed that consumption inequality increased in rural area of 11 states despite a national trend. About the key highlights, the Gini coefficient increased in rural area to 11 states between 2011-12 to 2022-23. State affected, the state where the Gini coefficient rose include Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh and Rajasthan. Nagaland, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Meghalaya, Chhattisgarh had witnessed increase in Gini coefficient. The Gini coefficient for consumption expenditure also rose in urban area of these states, which are Meghalaya, Himachal Pradesh and Manipur. Nationally, the Gini coefficient for rural area declined from 0.283 in 2011-12 to 0.226 in 2022-23. For urban area, it decreased from 0.363 to 0.141 during the same period. A lower Gini coefficient indicates reduced spending inequality. That means if the Gini coefficient is lower, Okay, so Gini coefficient is the indicator of income or wealth inequality and derived from the Lorenz curve. It is measured by dividing area between perfect equality curve and actual income distribution curve by area under the perfect equality curve. The coefficient range from 0% to 100%, with 0 representing perfect equality where every resident in a country has some income, and 1 representing perfect inequality or one resident earn all income and the rest earn nothing. Then coming to the question answer, examine the challenges faced by the survivors of the marital rape in India, considering patriarchal attitudes, societal stigma and legal recourse, evaluate the adequacy of existing law and support system in protecting married women rights and suggest reform to create a supportive environment for survivors. The marital rape, a form of sexual violence with marriage, remains a prevalent yet under-recognized issue in India. Rooted in patriarchal attitudes and social norms, it involves non-consequential sexual act perpetrated by a spouse against their partners. The current legal system does not criminalize maritime rape for women over 18 years old, posing significant challenges for survivors in seeking justice and support. The National Family Health Survey pointed out that approximately 30% of women aged 18 to 49 in India disclose experiencing sexual violence. Challenges faced by the survivor of the marital rape in India: the patriarchal attitudes, normalization of marital rape, the belief that marriage implies irrevocable consent for sexual relations perpetuates the notion that marital rape cannot exist. For example, Section 375 of the IPC exempt. Okay, so for example, Section 374 of the IPC exempt marital rape for adult women, reinforcing their belief. Victim balancing, blaming survivors often face blame, with societal expectation placing the burden of marital harmony on the woman. For example, the National Family Health Survey 5 data reveals that around 70% of the survivors do not report due to fear of stigma and societal backlash. Societal stigma, silence, and shame. Survivors are often shamed into silence, fearing judgment and ostracism from their communities. Lack of support system, the absence of robust community support system exacerbate the isolation of the survivors. For example, only limited civil remedies like the protection orders are available under the Domestic Violence Act 2005, which are often inadequate. Legal recourse, inadequate legal framework. The legal system does not currently recognize marital rape as a crime, limiting survivors' access to justice. For example, National Family Health 5 highlights that 5.6% of married women report being physically forced into sex by their husbands, indicating the prevalence of the issue despite legal gaps. Judicial challenges, the ambiguity in law and split judgments on the issue make it difficult for survivors to pursue legal action. For example, recent judicial debate, including the Karnataka High Court rejection of the marital rape exception, highlights the need for clear legal definitions and protection. Adequacy of existing law and support system. Legal protections. Domestic Violence Act 2005 provides civil remedy but falls short of criminalizing marital rape explicitly. The Act recognizes marital rape as a form of domestic violence but does not provide adequate punitive measures. This act allows for protection orders and judicial separation but does not criminalize the act of marital rape, limiting its deterrent effect. Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, it forbids both the offering and acceptance of dowry, imposing penalty on individuals involved in this practice. Although this legislation targets financial exploitation within marriage, it falls short of addressing the entirety of sexual violence, creating a loophole in protection for survivors of marital rape. Section 498A of the Indian Penal Code criminalizes cruelty by husbands and their relatives, including physical and mental abuse. This section provides some legal recourse for abused women, but it does not explicitly cover marital rape, which requires its recognition as a distinct crime. Judicial precedent. Some court rulings have attempted to address the issue, but comprehensive legal reform is lacking. For example, the Supreme Court's ongoing consideration and previous High Court ruling on related issue shows a potential shift towards recognizing the crime. Support system. Okay, so judicial precedent, some court rulings have attempted to address the issue, but comprehensive legal reform is lacking. For example, the Supreme Court's ongoing considerations and previous High Court ruling on related issue shows a potential shift towards recognizing the crime. Support system, role of family. Family members can offer crucial emotional support and practical assistance to survivors. However, in the patriarchal setup, family support can be compromised by societal norms that stigmatize the victim. For example, families may pressure survivor to remain silent or reconcile with the abuser, undermining the support system. Role of the friends. Friends can provide a safe space for survivor to share their experience and seek help. Their support can be significant but may be limited by their understanding and willingness to challenge societal norms. Counseling channel. Access to professional counseling can help survivors cope with trauma and navigate their legal and personal options. However, the availability and effectiveness of the counseling service are limited, especially in rural areas. Counseling services are often underfunded and understaffed, leading to inadequate support for the survivors. The NGO and advocacy group. NGO and advocacy groups work to raise awareness. Okay, so Mr. Hishikesh Sahu invoked a marital rape exception to seek dismissal of charges, but the Karnataka High Court rejected the case, stating that the exception was regressive and violated the right to equality. Supreme Court involvement. The Supreme Court has stayed the High Court decision, thus the case highlights the need for judicial clarity on the issue. Then the RTA Foundation of the Delhi High Court split verdict. The Delhi High Court delivered a split verdict on the constitutionality of the marital rape exception, illustrating a judicial inconsistency and the need for a decisive ruling from the Supreme Court. Reform to create a supportive environment for survivors, legal reforms, criminalization of marital rape. There is a need to encourage discussions over marital rape in India and from a committee to discuss the issue in depth and recommend amendment to the IPC. For example, following international precedents like those in the USA, UK and other countries where marital rape is recognized as and penalized. Establish clear judicial guidelines to support survivors and ensure consistent application of the law. Strengthening support system, enhance support services. Okay. Community education program, launch widespread educational campaign to change societal attitudes and reduce stigma associated with the marital rape. Addressing the issue of marital rape in India requires a multifaceted approach, combining legal reforms, strengthen support system and societal education. By criminalizing marital rape and providing robust support to survivors, India can take significant steps towards ensuring justice and equality for all women, paving the way for a society that upholds the dignity and the rights of every individual. Then coming to the question answer. So the term base erosion and profit shifting is sometimes seen in use in the context of. So this is related to curbing the tax evasion by multinational company operating globally. So they avoid the tax by shifting their base of operation to the low tax countries from the high tax countries. So answer is B. Consider the following statement: Cabinet Minister is the highest ranking position in the Union Council of Ministers. As per the Constitution of India, the maximum number of ministers allowed in the Union Council is 15% of total members. That is wrong. Minister of State, independent judge is one of the category of ministers in the Union Council of Ministers. Minister. Okay. So the concept of collective responsibility in the context of the Council of Ministers implies that all ministers must agree on every decision. That is called the collective responsibility. So how many of the statements are correct? It is not correct, incorrect, only 2 is incorrect, but all are correct. Only 2 is incorrect. In modern astronomy, which one of the following is the significance of the hydrogen line? Hydrogen line is used to study the structure and dynamic of the galaxies. B. Consider the following statement: in the past the post-electoral system, candidate must secure more than 50% of the votes to win. No. The first of the post system can result in a mismatch between the percentage of votes that the party receives and the number of seats it wins, right? Proportional representation is an electoral system designed to ensure that parties gain seat in proportion to the number of votes they receive. How many of the statements are correct? Question number 4, 2 are correct. 2 and 3, 1 is incorrect. A heat dome is a high pressure system that trap hot air over the region. B. With reference to the placenta mammals, consider the following statement: they have a placenta that nourishes the fetus during the gestation. That's right. African elephant is a placenta mammal, right? Placenta mammals are classified under the subclass Eutheria. So all the 3 are correct. With reference to Indian history, consider the following statement: the Kunthaki system was practiced in the Chotnagpur region where the individual owned the land fit for cultivation during the 20th century. Birsa Munda launched the Uglan movement in 1999 to drive out foreigners. The Chotnagpur Tenancy Act allowed the passage of the tribal land to non-tribal folks. Only 1 is correct. Which organization is responsible for the conducting the household consumption expenditure survey 2022-23? It is normally done by the National Sample Survey Office, NSSO. Consider the following statement about the green ammonia production. The SCCI is the appointed agency to implement the green ammonia production incentive under the 2A of the side program. That's right. The green ammonia produced under this initiative is designed for supply to fertilizer companies supporting sustainable agricultural practices. Both 1 and 2 are correct here. Consider the following statement about the fog computing. Fog computing is a decentralized computing structure. Fog computing extends the cloud capability to the edge of an enterprise network. Right, it is used to monitor traffic flow, managing public transportation, optimizing energy use, and more. Here, both 1 and 2 are correct. Thank you for watching. Keep working regular to update yourself on a daily basis.